repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
Welcome to the 2025 NSAA State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. State baseball broadcasts are powered by Game Day Men's Health, Max Tan, Doane University, Raising Cane's, and the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Now, calling all the action, here's Nick Sainert.
Welcome back into Tal Anderson Field as it's game 2 of the day here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. I want to thank our sponsors, Doane University, the NDOT Highway Safety Office, Game Day Men's Health, Raising Cane's, Max Tan, and last but certainly not least, Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach, as we appreciate them for sponsoring state broadcasts on the 93.7 The Ticket pages. Whether you're listening on the FM dial, the mobile app, the YouTube stream, or the live video streams on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo Cable Channel 961, or on our website. I appreciate you guys spending a part of your Saturday with me. Nick Sainert joining you from Tal Anderson Field as we are getting ready for game 2 of the day in the Class B bracket. Number 4 Waverly going up against number 5 seed Gretna East. These two teams familiar with each other, and very recently, as Gretna East was able to knock off Waverly in the district championship game. They won 5-0. It was a pretty cut and dry victory. They scored 5 runs combined in the first 2 innings of work, and then there was no runs scored the rest of the ball game from either side. And so Waverly trying to get some revenge. They've played Gretna East 3 times this year. Earlier in the year, when Gretna East was able to, Waverly beat them 7-5. However, in 2 of the last 3 Waverly Vikings games, they've actually lost to the Griffins. We have a matchup of 2 really good arms, and not only Brennan Miller, but also Nolan Green for Gretna East, and we will tell you guys all about them as we get ready for first pitch between the Waverly Vikings and the Gretna East Griffins here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to take a quick break as we have a national anthem here at Tal Anderson Field, and when we come back, I'll tell you more about the Vikes and the Griffins here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your possibilities are endless at Doane University. Discovering your life's passion is easier with options, and that's what Doane offers students. Rooted in liberal arts, you can choose from undergraduate and graduate programs, all delivering real-world experience. At Doane, we take a personal approach to education, giving you the guidance you need to own your future. It's not just our innovative learning, it's the feeling of being surrounded by possibilities that makes you different. Apply today at doane.edu/apply.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
And outreach on Give to Lincoln Day. Your gift will be received by a portion of Lincoln Community Foundation's matching fund. Homelessness is a complex problem facing our community. By working together, we can find solutions. Your donation for Give to Lincoln Day moves us closer to ensuring that everyone in Lincoln has a safe place to sleep at night. Because of your generosity, hope lives here. Give anytime through May 29th at givetolincoln.com.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time, which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nick Sander back with you from Tal Anderson Field here on a Saturday as we have shifted to the afternoon part of the day. 63 degrees is your temperature at first pitch as we get ready for number 4 Waverly against number 5 Gretna East. And once again, if you're just now joining us or missed the pregame piece just a few moments ago, Gretna East knocked off the Waverly Vikings in the district final by a score of 5-0. And so if you're the Waverly Vikings and head coach Jerry Dittenberg, you're looking for a little bit of revenge here on a Saturday, especially on the biggest stage such as the state baseball tournament. We saw a dominating Omaha Skutt Catholic victory in game 1 of the day. They mercy ruled the 8-seeded Hastings Tigers by a score of 12-1 after just 5 innings of play. The Skutt Catholic Skyhawks put up 1 run in the first, 1 in the second, 9 runs in the third, and then they added 1 more in the fourth just for good measure. And they came away with a 12-1 victory. I tell you that because the winner of this game gets the Skyhawks, the top-seeded Skyhawks, on Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. So that's the big one there. The loser of this game will face off against the Hastings Tigers in an elimination matchup, depending on either 1 p.m. or 7 p.m. The time is still to be determined based on a graduation ceremony at some of the high schools. And so there's still some things up in the air, some plans and schedules to finalize. But however, we do know starting pitching matchups as there's a final conference going on at home plate between the two coaches in Jerry Dittenberg for the Waverly Vikings and Daryl Everhart for the Gretna East Griffins. How about this? Let's start talking about the higher seed in this one, the Waverly Vikings, as they will send Brennan Miller out to the mound. Miller on the year, a 6-1 record. He's only allowed 20 hits all season long. He's only allowed 5 runs all year long. That equates to a 0.84 earned run average. He's also struck out 59, so a pretty good feeling that he'll eclipse and surpass that 60 strikeout mark here later today. For the Griffins, they're going to start Nolan Green on the mound. Green on the campaign 3-0, and so 2 aces trying to win game 1 of the state baseball tournament for their respective sides as Waverly in their maroon uniforms takes the field here on the campus of Omaha. The Omaha baseball field, Tal Anderson Field with Baxter Arena in just past the right field fence. The flags are planted at left center, still blowing at a decent speed towards right center's wall. And so once again, officially at first pitch, which Brennan Miller warming up as we speak. It is 63 degrees with winds blowing towards that right center field wall at about 14 to 15 miles per hour. It's still somewhat not chilly necessarily, but light jacket or sweatshirt type of weather. Good contingent of fans and spectators here still filing in to Tal Anderson Field as we get ready for game number 2 of the day here on 93.7 The Ticket. For Gretna East, they're going to start, as I mentioned, Nolan Green on the mound, but how about this? They're going to send him up to the plate first. He leads off today for the Griffins. Nolan Green, number 7 in gold, a senior pitcher and infielder hitting a nice .357 on the season in 84 at-bats. He has 2 long balls, and he's driven in 17 runs. Next up, hitting second for Gretna East, it'll be number 5, getting the start at second base, whose brother just yesterday committed to Northeast Community College. However, Tyler Cox is the second baseman today. Tyler, a senior, hitting .239, and then rounding out the starting 3 batters of this Gretna East Griffins lineup, doing the catching, number 10, Carson Herman. Herman, a junior utility guy, plays infield, outfield, and plays behind the dish Herman, a .352 hitter on the season with 1 home run and 14 runs driven in. But similar to that first game that we saw just shortly after 10 a.m., not a whole lot of long balls or extra base hits or even balls over the fence are expected. It's going to be a lot of manufacturing runs here today, especially with a couple of really good arms on the mound for each side. Brennan Miller, the right-handed pitcher, and doing the catching here today for the Waverly Vikings, it's going to be number 11, Drew Cook. Cook, a future Barton Community College baseball player, as he will be behind the dish. And we'll tell you about some of the future landing spots for a lot of these guys on the Waverly Vikings, because there's a lot of guys going to be continuing their college careers following their high school careers. And so we are ready to go here at Tal Anderson Field. It's going to be a 1:04 p.m. first pitch here on a Saturday afternoon as Nolan Green steps into the box, hitting from the left-handed side, facing the right-handed pitcher of Brennan Miller. Gretna East in their gold uniforms with white numbers and letters, and they're wearing some black helmets and white pants here today, while Waverly in their maroon unis with the word Waverly across the chest in white letters, those white hats with the maroon W across the top as well. All right, first 2 pitches of the game swung on and missed for Nolan Green. He's quickly down 0-2 on the count. And so Nolan Green now takes some extra time in between pitches, and Brennan Miller's ready to go. The 0-2 offering on the way, swung on, hit well out to center field. Hunter Tomes, though, patrolling center field, and he catches it at the top of the Omaha logo that's mowed into the center field turf. For out number 1, it's going to be F8 on the scorebook for out number 1. Nick Sainert joining you from Tal Anderson Field. Jackson Kleinschmidt back in our 93.7 The Ticket studios in Lincoln. Appreciate Jackson and Harrison for all their work on a Saturday. As the first pitch, the at-bat to the 2-hole hitter, Tyler Cox, the second baseman, is up and away for a ball, 1-0. It was a game earlier today that saw a 12-1 Omaha Skutt Catholic run rule victory over Hastings. Here, this one expected to be a little more competitive on the scoreboard, at least, between Gretna East and Waverly, a matchup of a 4-seed and a 5-seed. Gretna East up to bat. They ground this one left side. It stays fair territory, and it's bobbled and booted by the third baseman. Trying to stretch it into 2 bags is Tyler Cox, and he's able to do so, as that's going to be a 1-out double that they're going to mark it as a hit for now. That was a tough play for the Waverly third baseman, Connor Gunderson, as he had to range over to his right, tried to backhand it right next to the third base bag, and it just looked like it squirted past him. May have gotten a piece of his glove, which slowed down the speed of the ground ball. The left fielder had to range over, and a good job there by Tyler Cox, stretching it to a 1-out double. So that brings up Carson Herman, as Herman swings and fouls this one straight back to the net, 0-1, after the 1-out double down the third base line. It looked to be a potential routine ground ball that, like I said, the third baseman just had to battle the bag with his footing. He was going to have to make a very long throw across the diamond, but nonetheless, runner at second base with 1 out. Here's the pitch from Miller, swung on, fouled back, same exact spot, same exact result, straight back to the net behind home plate, as we have an 0-2 count on Carson Herman, the catcher for the Gretna East Griffins. This will be the 9th pitch of the day for Brennan Miller here in the top of the first. Gretna East trying to get some scoring started early. In that district championship game, I mentioned it, Gretna East scored their 5 runs in the first and second innings combined, and then 0 runs for both sides from there on out. This one hit well out to left field. It's going to be held up in the wind, however, and a nice job by the Waverly Vikings left fielder, Zach McElhose, of able to range over to his left. And as I mentioned, not a whole lot of extra base hits going to be hit today, especially to that left field side, because that wind kind of alternating between blowing straight back towards the first base dugout and to the right center field wall. And so because of that, that ball kind of hung up there in the air, and McElhose able to catch it for out number 2. So runner on second, 2 outs here for the cleanup hitter, Tanner Erdkamp. Erdkamp takes ball 1 up out of the zone, 1-0. Erdkamp getting the start in center field today. Erdkamp, the senior outfielder, .317 on the season, 26 hits in 82 at-bats. He has 16 runs driven in, trying to potentially drive in the 17th of his season if he can score Tyler Cox from second base. Brennan Miller, 1 ball, no strikes as he is on the bump. This will be the 11th pitch of the day for the righty for Waverly. Cox gets his lead at second, being worked by the shortstop for the Waverly Vikings. It's a righty-righty matchup here to the cleanup hitter. This one swung on by Erdkamp, and it's fouled back over the press box. May have bumped the press box and fell back down into the spectators below, but that evens up the count at 1 ball, 1 strike. If you've never been to Tal Anderson Field, it faces to the northeast, and so the sun directly behind the press box today, but there's no shadows on the field for now as the 1-1 pitch swung on, hit, fouled right side once again. Looks like Erdkamp just a tad behind that fastball for Brennan Miller. This also is an all-turf surface out here at Tal Anderson Field, as it's a 1-2 pitch for Brennan Miller, who's working out of the stretch since that runner's on second. The 1-2 pitch to Erdkamp. Low in the dirt. Great stop behind the dish there by the catcher for the Waverly Vikings, Drew Cook. It was a nice, aggressive secondary lead there at second by Tyler Cox, but unable to grab an extra 90 feet because of the job behind the dish. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top of the first inning. Swung on and fouled back right side, so we'll do it again at 2-2. Gretna East and the Waverly Vikings here. Nick Sainert with you from Tal Anderson Field. They changed I'll get to this in a moment, but they changed the call on that Trevor Cox base hit, as the 2-2 offering is going to be a breaking ball inside for strike 3. It came across the plate. A nice job by Brennan Miller. As I was going to say, they changed the Tyler Cox decision to an error, so it's going to go as an E5, and so that erases the hit that Tyler Cox got. However, it goes mute because Tanner Erdkamp, the cleanup hitter for the Gretna East Griffins, goes down on strikes. We head to the bottom of the first inning. We'll get to see Waverly and their first 3 hitters, Tomes, Malcolm, and Sampson, due up against the pitcher for Gretna East, Nolan Green. Nolan Green, the righty, takes the mound when we come back in 30 seconds here on 93.7 The Ticket.
When daily energy fades and your drive just isn't what it used to be, Game Day Men's Health helps you step back into top form. Game Day Men's Health is one of the country's fastest growing clinics, and they focus on men's wellness, providing customized solutions with professionalism and privacy in mind. Testosterone optimization, weight management, vitamin injections, and shockwave therapy are just a few of the many things they offer. Restore your energy and rediscover confidence with the help of Game Day Men's Health, because every man deserves to feel his best every day. Visit them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com today or in person at one of their 2 locations in Omaha.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nick Sainert back with you from Tal Anderson Field. How about this? An update from the Baton Rouge Regional, as the Nebraska softball team, they got a little bit of a break, some good fortune, because if you did not hear, the 4 seed in the regional, Southeastern Louisiana, actually defeated LSU yesterday by a score of 4-3. So Nebraska in the winner's bracket game plays Southeastern Louisiana today. The game started just shortly after noon. And how about this? In the top of the 3rd inning, Ava Cusack just hit a grand slam to extend the Huskers' lead to 10-1. So after Nebraska scores double digits in game 1 of the regional and beating UConn 10-2 yesterday, they're now in the double-digit column again. They're up 10-1 on the Southeastern Louisiana softball program. But back here at Tal, Waverly will send Hunter Tomes up to the plate, the lefty hitter, against the righty pitcher, Nolan Green. First pitch is going to be a check swing, but it actually makes contact with the bat, and it's fouled off to the left side for a strike, 0-1. Hunter Tomes, the career stolen bases leader for the Waverly Vikings. He's going to be playing his college baseball at Barton Community College. He also has speaking of the softball team, as he takes strike 2 across the heart of the plate, his older sister, Malia, is actually a member of the Husker softball team. Doesn't play a whole lot because she's a freshman, and Nebraska softball extremely deep, obviously, but still a member of that softball team. So potentially parents, Cena and Dusty Tomes, are going to be splitting time between here and Baton Rouge. However, Hunter Tomes rolls over on a ground ball, and it's fielded by the second baseman. He is thrown over to first in time for out number 1. But as I mentioned, Hunter Tomes, a real threat on the base pass. So if you're Nolan Green for the Gretna East Griffins, you're okay with that result. Keeping the career stolen base leader off of the paths. As the first pitch of the at-bat to Carson Malcolm, the shortstop today for Waverly, is up and in, 1 ball, no strikes. Nolan Green, the righty pitcher, working out of the windup. The 1-0 offering on the way, fouled back to the nets, and it's going to be even at 1-1. So we'll keep you updated on the Husker softball game as that one progresses. But for right now, good news for Husker fans as they are up 10-1. As this one's going to be a soft floater, shallow right field, and the second baseman ranges over, able to haul it in for out number 2. So it'll be F4. Let's get those numbers right. F4 for out number 2. And that'll bring up Bruin Sampson. Sampson getting the start at first base today for the Waverly Vikings. He wears number 5 in maroon. He steps into that right-handed batter's box on the campaign. Bruin Sampson, a .391 hitter. No home runs, but 21 runs driven in. Base paths are empty here. 2 outs, nobody on. And Bruin Sampson takes ball 1 low and away for a 1-0 count. 1 ball, no strikes. Here's this one as it's lined through the gap into the left field side. It's going to be a base knock, a 2-out single for Bruin Sampson as he able to hit one between the shortstop and the third baseman in the 5-6 hole. And that'll be a 2-out single for the Waverly Vikings, bringing up the cleanup hitter in the lineup. The pitcher, seeing if he can help himself out a little bit, Brennan Miller. Miller, we know what he does on the bump. How about at the plate? At the plate, Brennan Miller, a .305 hitter. 1 long ball on the year, 26 runs driven in. He has 25 hits on the campaign. No balls, no strikes. First pitch of the at-bat, great body behind the plate by Herman. Herman able to keep Bruin Sampson at first base as he kept that ball that hit the turf in front of him. Sampson with a very conservative lead over there at first base, just about a step and a half off the bag. He is being held on, though, by the first baseman. The 1-0 pitch swung on and missed by Brennan Miller. Miller, a physical presence up there. Real nice size to him. Number 6 in maroon. He's going to be playing his college ball at Iowa Western Community College, just across the border, about less than 10 miles past the border into Iowa. Great campus there for the Iowa Western Reavers. Iowa Western back about 5 years ago or so, as Miller fouled off another one. It's going to be 1 ball, 2 strikes. Iowa Western actually had a head coach, Mark Rardin, at one time that ended up getting hired away and went and coached at Western Kentucky. 1 ball, 2 strikes from Nolan Green. Outside corner, strike 3, and the pitcher rings up the other pitcher as Brennan Miller goes down looking as he watches a fastball hit that outside part of the plate for strike 3. And out number 3. So Nolan Green works around a 2-out single from Bruin Sampson, and he gets Brennan Miller down on strikes. We head to the top of the second inning, due up in the top half of the frame. It's going to be Easton Leahy, Chase Neneman, and Colton Kuhl, 5, 6, and 7 in the Vikings lineup, due up next here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your possibilities are endless at Doane University. Discovering your life's passion is easier with options, and that's what Doane offers students. Rooted in liberal arts, you can choose from undergraduate and graduate programs, all delivering real-world experience. At Doane, we take a personal approach to education, giving you the guidance you need to own your future. It's not just our innovative learning, it's the feeling of being surrounded by possibilities that makes you different. Apply today at doane.edu/apply.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into Tal Anderson Field. Nick Sainert with you here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. A scoreless first inning, an efficient first inning for both sides. They worked around a couple of moments of adversity. There was a 2-out single for Waverly in the bottom half of the first inning. However, for Gretna East, they were able to get out of it. Brendan Miller in the top half of the first worked around an error by his third baseman and was able to work a clean frame. So now we go to the top of the second inning for Gretna East. It'll be hitters 5, 6, and 7. To start us off, the third baseman, number 11, it'll be Easton Leahy. Leahy, a senior that hits .297 on the year, does have 1 home run, hits from the right side as well. Waverly, on the year, 20-9 overall, while Gretna East 17-9. These two teams, though, played 3 times this season. Gretna East winning 2 of those 3. Most recently in the district championship game that allowed Gretna East to punch their ticket here to the state tournament. Out of the windup for Brennan Miller as he faces Easton Leahy. The first pitch of the at-bat, low and in the dirt, ball one. 1 ball, no strikes. Brennan Miller in that first inning, just 15 pitches. As the 1-0 offering to Leahy swung on and fouled off sharply to the right side. It hits the concourse, and the mad rush of little kids going to track down that foul ball commences. It'd be a beautiful day. Imagine if you've heard this before. It'd be a beautiful day if it wasn't for the wind. As it's 1 ball, 1 strike swung on, and the bat breaks. An aluminum bat just broke here at Tally Anderson Field. It hit the handle, and Easton Leahy's bat snapped in 2 pieces, with the larger of the two trending in the direction of Brennan Miller. And so it was almost like Easton Leahy was he was shocked that bat snapped, and rightfully so. I think more notably, they got to check and make sure there's no other fragments of it. It appears that, so just for educational purposes, there's 2 different kinds of bats that you can have. One is a 1-piece aluminum bat. The other is a 2-piece composite. And that appeared to be a 1-piece aluminum just from up here in the press box. And so that's real impressive by Easton Leahy. However, it was scored a ground out. And so it was 4-3 on the put out for Easton Leahy for out number 1. Still somewhat surprised. I was caught off guard the fact that his metal or aluminum bat snapped into 2 pieces. Here, though, to the 6-hole hitter, Chase Neneman. He has a 2-0 count. 2-0 the count, and it's going to be swung on and missed for strike number 1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Here's the offering. Swung on, hit well, lined into left field. That's down for a hit. And Chase Neneman will be on first base with a 1-out single. And Gretna East, nice approach at the plate there. We talk about the approaches at the plate and getting ready for, especially in some advantageous accounts, you're able to maybe get something going here. But nice job by Chase Neneman taking that 2-1 fastball into left field for a 1-out single. So runner on first, and that's going to bring up Colton Cool. Cool, he watches strike 1 on the outside corner, 0-1. Chase Neneman, the guy that occupies first base, got the start at shortstop today. Colton Cool, though, getting the start in right field. Cool, a sophomore, hitting .273 on the campaign. Pick over to first, back in time over there at first base's bag is Chase Neneman. Just about 15 minutes into this game, we're in the top of the second inning. The pitch, Cool, swings and misses, 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes coming up to Colton Cool, Chase Neneman is who is on first base. As the flags have changed directions, they're blowing pretty dead straight towards home plate here. No balls, 2 strikes, Brennan Miller from the stretch. The pitch, fouled back to the screen, and it's 0-2. Brennan Miller had Colton Cool well early on that pitch. He threw an off-speed, a breaking ball that kind of snuck back to the part of the plate. Cool, though, with his step on his swing, stepped outside of his stance, and that kind of opened up his front hips, and he was barely able to get a piece of that bat on that baseball. The 0-2 pitch again, up and in, and it's going to be ball 1. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the top of the second inning. Both sides have 1 hit apiece. Gretna East, with Neneman over at first base, gets thrown his way, and as he's back in time safely. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the top of the second. Colton Cool, the hitter, Brennan Miller from the stretch, and he has to step off because over at first base, Chase Neneman getting in his head a little bit. And we talk about the timing, we talk about the pace. You have to figure out a way to get out of your comfort zone and be comfortable with that if you're on the mound, especially on a stage like this. As over on the 1-2 offering, it's going to be just high out of the zone, ball 2. We saw it in the first game of the day. Scott Catholic stole a lot of their bases this morning based on timing, not even watching first movement. The 2-2 pitch swung on and missed, and that is a big strikeout for Brendan Miller as he gets the 7-hitter in the Gretna East lineup down on strikes for out number 2, and that brings up the left fielder, number 9 for the Gretna East Griffins, Kaysen Brown. Kaysen, a junior, hitting .263 on the season, has 15 hits, so half those. As the first pitch of the at-bat is going to be over the head of Kaysen Brown, who ducked out of the way for it, and he looks down his third base coach's way, and he says, come on now, and it's that moment of regret and disappointment in yourself when you bend out of the way of just getting a free base. That ball was going to the back of Kaysen Brown. It was just a fastball, but nonetheless, it's a 1-ball, no strike count to Kaysen Brown. Chase Neneman occupies first, 2 outs here, top of the second. Second pitch of the at-bat, up and in for a ball, 2-0 to Kaysen Brown. Two outs here in the top half of the second inning. Brendan Miller, the righty, working from the stretch, quickly picks over, and it's back in time standing was Chase Neneman. Kaysen Brown, the 8-hitter in the Gretna East lineup. The 9-hole, Jacob Brown, the designated hitter today, is on deck. As this one up and in again. Brendan Miller struggling with a little bit of command here in the visiting half of the second inning. Has yet to put a guy on base via free pass, but is in danger if he throws one more ball. Brendan Miller from the stretch lifts the leg and fires, as this one's going to be across the heart of the plate for a strike, 3-1. Kaysen Brown taking all the way. So once again, Tally Anderson Field, the site for this one, as this is game 2 of 4 for us here on the ticket today. 3 balls, 1 strike, advantageous situation for Kaysen Brown. He swings, fouls this one back towards the concession stands, hits the sky box, and bounces back into the Gretna East spectator section. And so we will have a payoff pitch coming from a 3-2 count to Kaysen Brown from the right arm of Brendan Miller. Righty-righty matchup. Chase Neneman can go with the pitch. Miller comes set, pauses for a long time. There goes Neneman, and the payoff pitch is up and in for ball 4. And so Kaysen Brown takes his free base. Moving up to second on the walk is Chase Neneman, and that will now bring up the 9-hitter in the Gretna East lineup, the designated hitter today, number 12, Jacob Brown. Jacob, on the season, .235 hitter. He's a junior, has 12 hits on the entire year, just 4 runs driven in. And so a big opportunity here for Jacob Brown, who's DHing today for the first baseman, Colton Nicholson. Big opportunity here for Jacob Brown, the junior catcher and outfielder, to kind of make a big mark on the game. And this is where you have to have some sort of a mentality of do your job. Don't worry about trying to even score the guy from second. A base hit probably will do that because Waverly's outfielders are playing relatively deep today, at least to start the game. But what I was going to say is also just continue to move the line, because your leadoff hitter, Nolan Green, who's one of your better hitters on the team with a .357 batting average, is on deck. Here's the first pitch of the at-bat, swung on, and it's fouled off deeply right side into the Gretna East bullpen down that first base foul line. And so nice job by Brendan Miller after issuing the walk. Nice job getting on top of Jacob Brown here on the first pitch of the at-bat. No balls, 1 strike, 2 outs in the top of the second inning. Gretna East and Waverly still scoreless in this one. Gretna East so far, no runs on 1 hit. Waverly, no runs on 1 hit. They've also committed an error. The 0-1 pitch from Brendan Miller as he comes set, checks the runner at second base twice, and fires home a fastball that's going to be swung at and missed by Jacob Brown. No balls, 2 strikes coming up to Jacob Brown, who steps out of the box, collects himself, and puts his toes right up to that white line. No balls, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch from Brendan Miller in the top of the second inning. Inside corner, strike 3. Nice job by Brendan Miller as he's able to paint a picture with that fastball on the inside part of the plate, and he escapes any potential damage by striking out Jacob Brown. He goes down on 3 pitches, and it's a backwards K for Brennan Miller. We head to the bottom of the second inning, due up 5, 6, and 7 for the Waverly Vikings here when we come back on 93.7 The Ticket.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time. Which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into Tal Anderson Field. Nick Sainert with you. Jackson Kleinschmidt back in our 93.7 The Ticket studios here on a Saturday, as I think everybody in the ballpark hoping for the wind to just die down a little bit here, as it's a cloudless day up here in Omaha. 0-0 is your score as we enter the bottom of the second inning. Gretna East had a little bit of potential for some damage in that top half of the second, however, unable to get anything going as Jacob Brown went down on 3 pitches. Nice job by Brennan Miller establishing the inner part of that plate. We talk so much about getting the outside corner and figuring out a way to command that part of the zone that people sometimes forget about the inner part of that strike zone. So we are ready to go in the bottom half of the second inning after Waverly did get 1 hit in that home half of the first. They're going to bring up their catcher, Drew Cook, number 11, the righty-righty matchup to Nolan Green on the bump. The first pitch is going to be low and away for a ball, 1-0. I mentioned earlier that there's going to be a decent number of Waverly Vikings making their way to Barton County, Kansas. Drew Cook is one of them as he watches strike 1 on the outer part, clip the zone, 1-1. Drew Cook, Bruin Sampson, Hunter Tomes, just 3 of the guys that are going to be going to Barton Community College, as this one on 1-1 lined out to the shortstop, but ranging over to his right to make the catch on the line drive was number 13, Chase Neneman. And so Neneman is able to retire Cook as he fields the line drive. It's an L6 on the game book for out number 1. That brings up the third baseman, number 3, Connor Gunderson. Gunderson on the year, the senior, hitting .242 at the plate, 16 hits and 66 at-bats. It appears we're having some issues with the walkie-talkies. We're ready to go, though, here, as Gretna East is able to figure out the malfunction. And so we're ready to play some baseball here. 1 out here in the top of the, or rather bottom of the second inning. The pitch on the way up and in, almost hit him. Gunderson able to jump out of the way and take ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Nolan Green fires home a fastball. It hits the outer part of the plate, 1-1. Both pitchers doing a good job commanding the pace of this game. I've said it in both of the games that I've called, but nice job by Nolan Green here, as on the outside just missed. And it'll be 2 balls, 1 strike. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out here in the home frame of the second inning. This one skied high, shallow right field. The wind is going to push it a little deeper than what it was actually hit, but it's no problem for Colton Kuhl out there in right field, and it's an F9 for out number 2. So real nice job by both guys on the mound for their respective sides. In this case, Nolan Green, number 7 for Gretna East. 2 up, 2 down here in the bottom of the second inning, and that brings up number 17, Crew Verkamp. Verkamp was a late addition to the lineup. It was supposed to be Logan Klopek, but Klopek scratched a little bit late, and they subbed in Crew Verkamp to start in right field for the Waverly Vikings. No balls, 1 strike after he swung and missed quickly. Green fires home another one, and it's no balls, 2 strikes as Verkamp has swung and missed at both pitches he's seen. On the year, Verkamp, the junior, 197 hitter, 15 hits in 76 tries. No balls, 2 strikes, bottom of the second. 2 outs, swung on, fouled back to the nets, and we'll do it again at 0-2. Nolan Green gets that baseball back from the catcher and immediately has that ball in his glove, and he's fumbling around in there trying to get the grip. Sometimes, in all seriousness, to actually get a grip for a breaker, other times to try to throw off the hitter. And this time he tried to paint the outside part of the plate with a fastball, unable to do so. It's 1-2. The lone hit for the Waverly Vikings came off the bat of Bruin Sampson with a 2-out single in the first. Here's the 1-2 pitch in the dirt on the breaker, and it's going to be a 2-ball, 2-strike count here in just a moment as Crew Verkamp, the 7-hitter in the Waverly lineup, able to even things up. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the bottom of the second. Here's the pitch. And did he go? He did not. The ball was in the dirt. Gretna East started to trot back to the dugout, but the breaking ball that bounced in the dirt, stopped behind the dish. It did not get Verkamp to bite. And so it's going to be a payoff pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes here in the bottom half of the second. The pitch from Nolan Green on the way, up and in, ball 4. A nice at-bat there from Crew Verkamp after he initially was down no balls, 2 strikes. He's able to work a 2-out walk. And so now for the second consecutive inning, Waverly with 2 outs able to get a runner on base as they bring up Zach McElhose, the left fielder, up to the plate. Righty-righty matchup here with 2 outs in the bottom of the second inning. Runner at first base for Waverly. Here's the pitch. And that one's checked on and appealed down to first base. He did not go around. And so that makes it a 1-ball, no strike count. 1 ball, no strikes. Bottom of the second inning, here we are at Tal Anderson Field in Omaha. From the stretch, here's Green. Pitch, clips the outside part of the plate, 1-1. Before that outside pitch clipped the plate, there was a strand of 5 consecutive pitches thrown that were balls by Nolan Green. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's Green, the pitch. And it's high out of the zone, ball 2. Green's catcher there, Carson Herman, did not do his pitcher any favors. He kind of jumped up. It looked like they might have gotten crossed up a little bit, jumped up and fielded that pitch a lot higher than it needed to be. The 2-1 offering, same spot, and it's 3 balls, 1 strike. 3 balls, 1 strike here in the bottom of the second. Nolan Green in danger of issuing back-to-back free passes. From the stretch, the 3-1 pitch. Hits out the outside corner for a strike, 3-2. So now Verkamp at first base will have the opportunity to go off with the pitch. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the home half of the second inning. 0-0 is your score between Gretna East and Waverly. As the payoff pitch here in the bottom of the second, up out of the zone, and it's the second consecutive walk for the Waverly Vikings. And Gretna East now has to deal with the 9-hole hitter, Trevor Rosler. So now for the Waverly offense, here in the bottom of the second inning, they have runners on first and second with 2 outs. Both guys have been put on via a free base. And because of that, it'll turn now to Trevor Rosler, the second baseman, the 9-hole hitter in the Waverly lineup. Quick conference at the mound between the catcher and the pitcher and the third baseman for Gretna East. So with 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning, runners on first and second for Rosler. Once again, some miscommunication between the catcher and the pitching coach in the Gretna East dugout. They had to go through the signs again, so Green had to step off the rubber. But we're ready to go. The first pitch of the at-bat to Rosler. Swung on and missed in the dirt. Threw a breaking ball to Rosler, and he fished. It was no balls, 1 strike now. Runners on first and second, 2 outs. Bottom of the second inning. Righty-righty matchup. Both middle infielders working the runner at second. This one bodied in the dirt. Throw down to third base is going to be in time. A nice job by the catcher behind the dish in Carson Herman as he was able to body it up in the opposite batter's box. The runner at second, Crew Verkamp, tried to swipe third. A nice job by Herman behind the plate, hopping up, firing down to third base, and they were able to apply the tag in time. And so the rest of the inning goes mute. And as we have played two complete here at Tally Anderson Field, we're still scoreless as we enter the third inning here on 93.7 The Ticket.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. Tally Anderson Field, the site for the Class B State Baseball Championships. Nick Sainert alongside from Omaha, 93.7 The Ticket. Jackson Kleinschmidt back in our ticket studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln. All right, so Gretna East gets out of a little bit of a jam there in the bottom of the second inning on a risky decision by the base runner to try to swipe third base on a ball in dirt read. And Herman, the catcher for Gretna East, able to fire it over to third in time for out number 3. So now in the top half of the third inning for Gretna East, the Griffins have the top 3 hitters in their lineup. 1, 2, and 3 due up. Nolan Green steps in, swings and misses on that one for a strike, 0-1. Brennan Miller back out there for his third inning of work. He's allowed just 1 hit through 2 innings. He has struck out 3 Griffins. 3 of the 6 outs recorded so far have come via a strikeout. No balls, 1 strike here in the top of the third inning. Nolan Green steps in. He's the left-handed hitter. Down 0-1. Here's the pitch from Miller. Hits the outside corner for a strike, 0-2. Good job there by Brennan Miller, able to get that outside part of the plate. Umpire's been very friendly with the strike zone so far, for both sides, for that matter, as this one climbs in and it hits him. Nolan Green gets hit on the left elbow as he went to go almost turn and swing or almost check at that one to try to get some barrel on it. However, when he kind of rotated his hips, it hit his back forearm. And so because of that, as that pitch rode inside, he's going to be awarded first base on the hit by pitch. So now Nolan Green occupies first base, and for the first time today for either side, the leadoff runner is on as this one bunted to no man's land at first base. Good job by Brennan Miller getting over, fielding his position. That is what we call PFPs, ladies and gentlemen, pitchers fielding practice. And they are able to range over. Good sacrifice bunt there by Tyler Cox, as Cox is credited for the sacrifice. He is out on the play, but advancing on the sacrifice to second base is Nolan Green. And that's exactly what you want if you're head coach Daryl Everhart over there at third base, because now there's a runner in scoring position for the meat of your lineup. Carson Herman, the 3-hole hitter in the Gretna East lineup, comes to the plate. No balls, no strikes. First pitch of the at-bat to Herman. From the stretch, Brennan Miller checks the runner at second base. Now he'll lift the leg and force him to retreat back to the second base bag. One out here in the top of the third. The pitch from Miller. Down Broadway, strike 1. No balls, 1 strike. As with a runner on second base, Brennan Miller steps up on the rubber, facing Carson Herman, the catcher, number 10 for Gretna East. He's driven in 14 runs on the year, but before we have a 0-1 offering, we have to have a conversation on the mound between Cook, the catcher, and Brennan Miller on the mound. No balls, 1 strike, 1 out after the sacrifice bunt was laid down by Tyler Cox. Carson Ehrman, the righty, facing the right-handed pitcher, Brennan Miller. The pitch on the way, low and in the dirt. Ball one. It was a breaking ball that started inside and out of the zone, but tried to work itself back. It was able to do so in terms of the horizontal conversation. However, it was in the dirt, so a ball one there. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Swung on, grounded right side. The second baseman ranges over, but now boots it off his leg. The runner's going to be able to round third, and he will score. An errant decision by the right fielder who had no play. Verkamp out in right field. He made a poor decision to try to gun down the runner at home, despite the runner already being halfway to home plate by the time he fielded that ball. Nolan Green scores on the play because of the error on the second baseman, and that is the second error of the day for the Waverly Vikings. But then, like I mentioned, on that play, the right fielder then chucks it from right field all the way to home plate. He missed his cutoff guy, and when that happened, Carson Ehrman, the hitter, was able to advance an extra 90 feet from first base to second base. And so Gretna East strikes first here in the top half of the third inning. They lead it now 1-0 as up to the plate, the cleanup hitter, Tanner Erdkamp, the center fielder on the day, right-handed hitter, facing the righty pitcher of Brennan Miller. They'll move, throw it back to second base to try to force the courtesy runner, in this case, number 14, Carter Woodson, force him back to the base. So initially, Ehrman reached on the air by the second baseman, but then advanced on the play on the throw from right field all the way back to home plate. 1-0 is your score, and it's 1-0 on the count now as that pitch up and in for a ball, 1-0. Brennan Miller facing a 1-0 count. He throws it up and in again. And all of Brennan Miller's misses on the mound today, all of them have been up and in. He's kind of struggled to throw downhill. 2 balls, no strikes, 1 out here in the top of the third. This one swung on in an elevated heater, and it's 2-1 coming up to Tanner Erdkamp. I like the approach from Erdkamp to try to jump on a 2-0 fastball. However, it helped Brennan Miller out on the mound because it was going to be ball 3. 2 balls, 1 strike. Here's the pitch. And that's just outside. Ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike here to the Gretna East cleanup hitter, Tanner Erdkamp. 1 out in the top of the third after Gretna East strikes first, and they lead it 1-0. The Waverly Vikings pitch. This one blooped out to center field, shallow center field. Hunter Tomes slips and falls. He's going to have to let this one drop. However, the runner at second, Carter Woodson, was unable to go off with the contact because when that happened, unfortunately, couldn't tell if Hunter Tomes, who's one of the fastest guys in the state, if he was going to be able to get to it. And so he was not even able to extend his lead from second base. So he just moves up 90 feet to third, and Gretna East, still with just 1 out, has runners on the corner. It is a single, though, for Tanner Erdkamp. And Woodson will move up to third base. Runners on the corners, 1 out for the 5-hole hitter, Easton Leahy, the third baseman. The righty-righty matchup. The runner at first runs. There will not be a throw down to second base, so it'll be an uncontested 90 feet for Tanner Erdkamp. And Easton Leahy will now have 2 guys in scoring position, a 1-0 count. Brennan Miller will work out of the windup. The 1-0 pitch to Erdkamp. Low in the dirt. It gets by the catcher, but there will be no advancement from the guys on the base paths. Might have gotten a poor read on that one. However, Easton Leahy, the third baseman for Gretna East, has a 2-0 count in his advantage. Brennan Miller already surpassed 50 pitches on the day here through 2 1/3. 2 balls, no strikes. The corner infielders are playing at the cut. 2 balls, no strikes, though. Runners on second and third, 1 out. Here's the pitch on 2-0. Up and away, ball 3. The Bennington Badgers and the Seward Blue Jays are both here at Tal Anderson Field. They've taken their seats in the fans area. 3 balls, no strikes. Here's the pitch. Low in the dirt, wasn't anywhere close. And that's a 4-pitch walk issued to Easton Leahy. So now Leahy occupies first. Tanner Erdkamp is at second. And Carter Woodson, the courtesy runner for Carson Herman, is standing at third. We have a stoppage in play as the bases are loaded. 1 out here in the top of the 3rd inning. Let's take a 30-second break as we have a conversation on the mound. Coaches for Waverly going out to talk to their Iowa Western commit, Brennan Miller. We'll be back in 30 seconds here on 93.7 The Ticket.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Stop me if you've heard this one before. Jordy Ball has hit a home run again. That is her 22nd of the season. Back here, Gretna East hits a ground ball. Shortstop fields it on the backhand, throws it across the diamond. It's bobbled and dropped by the first baseman and caught in no man's land, now thrown across back the other way from the first baseman over to the third baseman. And Gretna East, everybody is safe. It was a tough play by the shortstop for the Waverly Vikings in Carson Malcolm. A nice job also by stopping it via the backhand, threw it across the field. It was off of the first baseman's glove, though. I don't think it would have been in time to nonetheless. And everybody is safe on the 1-out RBI. That'll go as a hit for Gretna East as this one swung on and missed as Colton Kuhl steps into the box. It was Chase Neneman attacking that first pitch fastball. And so once again, Carson Ehrman, or rather Carter Woodson, the courtesy runner, was able to score. Here on the 0-1 pitch, it's low and away for a ball, 1-1. But yes, as I mentioned, Jordy Ball with her 22nd home run of the season. She tied the school record for home runs in a single season with that one. As the 1-1 offering from Brennan Miller clips the outside part of the plate, 1-2. Nebraska softball is up 13-1 on Southeastern Louisiana right now. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. A big strikeout for Brennan Miller as he gets Colton Kuhl down on strikes for out number 2 here in the top of the 3rd inning. So now that brings up the left fielder, number 9, Kason Brown. Runners at every single bag. Here's the pitch from Brennan Miller. Hits the outside part of the plate, 0-1. Nolan Green got this inning started by getting on base from a hit by pitch as the 0-1 pitch is low out of the zone, 1-1. By the way, it's now 14-1 in that Nebraska softball game. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd. The pitch on the way outside, 2-1. Nowhere to put him. Kason Brown at the plate. Brennan Miller, the pitcher, as during that conference on the mound from head coach Jerry Dittenber, Waverly rushed a guy out to the bullpen in left field to start loosening up. 2 balls, 1 strike. Here's the pitch to Kason Brown. Swung on, skied high, but foul. Left side behind us. And it will be even at 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd inning. Gretna East leads it 2-0. They've scored 2 runs here in the 3rd. 2-0 is your score. Gretna East in the top of the 3rd. From the windup, Brennan Miller starts his motion and fires on 2-2. Swung on chopper to the shortstop. He'll throw it the easy way to second base in time for out number 3. So the damage is limited, but the damage is done. Gretna East, they score 2 runs in the top of the 3rd inning, and they lead it 2-0 here at the end of our 2.5 through play. All right, when we come back, it's going to be 9 1-2 hitters in that Waverly lineup due up here from Tal Anderson Field on 93.7 The Ticket.
Support Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach on Give to Lincoln Day. Your gift will be received by a portion of Lincoln Community Foundation's matching fund. Homelessness is a complex problem facing our community. By working together, we can find solutions. Your donation for Give to Lincoln Day moves us closer to ensuring that everyone in Lincoln has a safe place to sleep at night. Because of your generosity, hope lives here. Give anytime through May 29th at givetolincoln.com.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Before we get back to the action, your possibilities are endless at Doane University. Discovering your life's passions is easier with options, and that is what Doane University offers students. Learn about undergraduate and graduate programs offering real-world experience at doane.edu. Okay, so Gretna East scores 2 runs in the top half of the third inning. They lead the Waverly Vikings now 2-0. Waverly with just 1 hit on the day, and stepping into the box, Trevor Roessler. He was batting, but his at-bat was cut short, and it was incomplete because the second inning ended when Crew Verkamp tried to steal third base but was thrown out to end the inning. So here, Roessler takes ball 1, low and away, 1-0. Now takes ball 2, low and away, ball 2, 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes, nobody out here in the bottom of the third. This one swung on and missed. A good job pitching backwards there by Nolan Green as he threw a 2-0 breaking ball that was swung at and missed by Roessler. Here's the pitch, 2-1. It clips the inside part of the plate, and we're even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out here in the bottom of the third. The pitch on the way, and it's a ball up and in, 3-2. Waverly will have hitters 9, 1, and 2 due up in this inning. Roessler takes ball 4, low and in the dirt. So now a leadoff walk for the Waverly Vikings as Roessler will now occupy first base. Hunter Tomes steps into the box. He attacked the first 2 pitches of his first at-bat. He only saw 3 pitches his entire AB, but when that happened, he grounded out to the second baseman on a 4-3 routine play. Runner at first is Roessler. Hunter Tomes steps in, the lefty hitter. He squares to show bunt and takes ball 1 up and away, 1-0. This is where Waverly can be dangerous, whether it's on the base paths or using Hunter Tomes' speed. The third baseman is playing about 20 feet in from the third base bag. First baseman having to hold him on, so you'd expect that this bunt will go down that first base side if Hunter Tomes decides to square and bunt. He does. It's down the first base side, but some wild spin, a little bit of English on that baseball as it took a funky hop and foul territory, and so we'll do it again at 1-1 this time. Hunter Tomes, tricky to throw out. He has over 80 career stolen bases. The record that he broke it with was on his 81st career stolen base. 2-0 is your score. 1 ball, 1 strike here to Hunter Tomes. He bunted it down the first baseline. A tough spot for anybody to field it and throw Hunter Tomes out is if he gets the good speed and direction on it. That's an important part of the bunt, obviously, speed and direction. Because if you drop it down right in front of home plate, there's a chance that the catcher is able to field it and fire it to second in time and get the lead runner. But then also, for a guy with the speed of Tomes, if it's hit hard enough, as this one's popped in the air, it's going to be caught by the pitcher, and doubled up at first base is Trevor Roessler. And so Hunter Tomes not only unable to put the bunt down on the turf, but unfortunately, the base runner unable to get back to first base in time. A good job by Nolan Green fielding that bunt on the fly, catching it for out number 1, turning, pivoting, and firing to first for out number 2. And so now quickly, an inning that started with a leadoff walk is now bases empty and 2 outs. This one grounded left side, shortstop fields it on the 2 hop, fires over to first base. It's scooped out of the turf by the first baseman. Good job there by Colton Nicholson, who is not in the lineup today but playing first base. He's able to dig it out of the turf, and just like that, the bottom of the third inning is over. It's a 6-3 ground out for out number 3 here to conclude the third inning of play. We've played 3. It's 2-0 Gretna East as we enter the top of the fourth inning. Due up for the Griffins in the visiting half of the fourth. It's Jacob Brown, Nolan Green, and Tyler Cox, hitters 9, 1, and 2 in the order to face Brennan Miller, who trots back out there for the Waverly Vikings. We'll step aside, come back in 30 seconds here on 93.7 The Ticket.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are approaching the 2 o'clock hour here in Omaha at Tal Anderson Field, exactly 2 p.m. on the dot. Appreciate you spending your Saturday afternoon with me wherever you may be listening from. You can always chime in. We do have access to the text line, 402-464-5685, the same text line you use during our daily shows. I do have access to it. Jackson's got it back in our 93.7 The Ticket studios. Feel free to chime in. Let me know where you're listening from. You can always tweet at me as well at Nick_Sainer. Gretna East leads it 2-0 here as we enter the fourth inning of play. It's 2-0 Gretna East over the Waverly Vikings. Nick Sainer with you from Tal Anderson Field. Stepping in first, it's going to be the designated hitter, ninth hitter in the lineup for the Griffins, Jacob Brown, as he fouls the first pitch off to the right side, but then takes ball one up and out of the zone. 1-1 is your count here in the fourth inning of work. Brennan Miller still on the bump. He has 66 pitches to this point. He throws a 1-1 fastball, just missed inside, 2 balls, 1 strike. And so it'll be hitters 9, 1, and 2 due up here in the top of the fourth inning as the 2-1 pitch is going to be same spot, just missed. It's 3-1 now. I mentioned district final, the Waverly Vikings fell to Gretna 5-0. This one swung on, hit skied high into left field. The wind is going to play a number on this one, and the left fielder able to comfortably camp under it and retire Jacob Brown for out number 1. And so now the lineup turns over. Nolan Green will step up to the plate. Nolan got the third inning that resulted in those 2 runs, the only 2 runs of the game. He started the third inning, and he got hit by a pitch on that left forearm, but we saw that did not bother him at all while he was on the mound for Gretna East. He steps in and takes strike 1 across the heart of the plate, 0-1. So no balls, 1 strike. As Miller ready to go once again. Here's the pitch. Clips the outside part of the plate. Nice job by Brennan Miller as he makes it 0-2 to the Gretna East hitter, Nolan Green. No balls, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Just outside, ball 1. So now 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here, Gretna East leads it 2-0. The 1-2 pitch from Miller. Swung on, hit well out to center field. Hunter Tomes racing over to his right, and stabs it out of the air for out number 2, out in deep left center field. And so Gretna East getting good barrels on a couple of balls here in the fourth inning. However, that wind that's blowing directly now back to home plate. It used to be just towards right center field, but now it's kind of shifted a little bit and held up in the air, and that is 2 down now in the top half of the fourth. Here's the first pitch. It's rolled over by Tyler Cox, fielded by the third baseman, thrown across the diamond, and a nice, smooth, efficient, clean inning of work for Brennan Miller. It's 3 up, 3 down as we head to the bottom of the fourth inning. 2-0, your score still. Gretna East on top of the Waverly Vikings on 93.7 The Ticket.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time. Which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We head to the bottom of the fourth inning. Nolan Green takes the mound once again. He will face hitters 3, 4, and 5 in the Waverly lineup. Bruin Sampson, Brennan Miller, and Drew Cook. 2-0 is your score. I mentioned Husker softball is just cruising in the winner's bracket game of the regional. How about Husker baseball playing out at Purdue? It's their final regular season game. We know the Huskers are going to be playing here in Omaha next weekend in the Big Ten tournament. Don't know the seed quite yet. However, Husker baseball up 7-0 over the Purdue Boilermakers out in West Lafayette. So good news all around Husker land so far, especially on the diamond, as baseball and softball both out in front comfortably. You feel probably a little bit more comfortable and confident in Husker softball being able to take care of business than baseball right now. But for the matter, it all works out. 2-0 is your score. Gretna East leads it as it's Waverly's turn in the bottom half of the fourth inning. A smooth-moving baseball game, and I say that hesitantly because karma is always a thing. 2-0 is your score, and it's Bruin Sampson up first. He has the lone Waverly hit through 3 innings of work. He had a 2-out single to left field back in the first. No balls, 1 strike. Here's the pitch from Nolan Green. Swung on and missed. 0-2 quickly as Nolan Green has been in a rhythm. No balls, 2 strikes here for Nolan Green. As he fires home, it's up and away, ball 1. One ball, 2 strikes here for the Waverly 3-hole hitter. He watches ball 2, low and away, 2-2. This is one thing, if we were to critique one thing that Nolan Green has done today, as he delivers the 2-2 pitch, swung on, skied high, right field. The right fielder racing over, has to backpedal now, is not comfortable with it. He falls to a knee, but still makes the catch. And so the right fielder for Gretna East, in this case, Colton Kuhl, it was almost like he forgot that the wind was as prevalent as it was, because he started to range over to his right towards right center field a little bit more, but then had to backpedal and shift, change directions, had to reverse course back to his left, falls to a knee, and is able to make the catch for out number 1. So it was acrobatic, but it all counts the same as Bruin Sampson is retired on an F9. That brings up the pitcher, Brennan Miller. Miller takes strike 1, and quickly, here we go, Nolan Green ready to fire another one home. This one swung on, popped out into left field. That's down for a hit. Nice job by Brennan Miller as he's in for a 1-out single. Excuse me. As Brennan Miller, as I said, 1-out single. Courtesy runner on for the Waverly Vikings. It'll be Trev Grieve. Grieve, number 2 for the Waverly Vikings, occupies first base in the form of a courtesy runner now. So yes, courtesy runner at first base. Still 2-0 is your score here between Gretna East and the Waverly Vikings. It's a 1-out single off the bat of Brennan Miller. Grieve at first, and stepping into the box, it's Drew Cook, the catcher. Righty-righty matchup to Nolan Green. This one will be up and away, ball 1. But as I was saying, the one critique that I would say if you were Nolan Green is that you've been able to get on top of guys, haven't been able to put them away, and you've kind of allowed them to even up the count. Knee buckler, it's a breaking ball. Started inside, came across the heart of the plate. Drew Cook did not stand a chance. As you could see from up here, his knees started to buckle, and he watched it go by for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Waverly has a runner on first, down by 2. Quick pick over to first back in time rather, was Grieve, the courtesy runner. Two to 0 is your score. 1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch to Cook, grounded. Third baseman has it. Thought about trying to fire it to second base. Instead, throws it across the diamond all the way to first base. A nice job by the third baseman, Easton Leahy, as he was able to throw it across for out number 2. However, on the play, Grieve did advance to second base on the fielder's choice. It's a 5-3 put out officially, and Drew Cook is retired for out number 2. So now Connor Gunderson, the third baseman, comes up with a runner on second base and 2 outs. And it feels like if you're Waverly, you'd like to try to get one of these runs back because this one's lined right at the shortstop. It was a good swing by Gunderson, but the shortstop for Gretna East, Chase Neneman, was right there to grab it with his mitt. Nolan Green has worked 4 scoreless frames, and we head to the top of the 5th inning with Gretna East winning 2-0 over the Waverly Vikings here at Tal Anderson Field. We'll step aside, come back in 30 seconds here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your possibilities are endless at Doane University. Discovering your life's passion is easier with options, and that's what Doane offers students. Rooted in liberal arts, you can choose from undergraduate and graduate programs, all delivering real-world experience. At Doane, we take a personal approach to education, giving you the guidance you need to own your future. It's not just our innovative learning, it's the feeling of being surrounded by possibilities that makes you different. Apply today at doane.edu/apply.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It has gone final in Baton Rouge. Nebraska softball wins it 14-1 over Southeastern Louisiana. How about this? The one hit of the day for Southeastern Louisiana came off the bat of Sydney Schneider. And you might ask, okay, who's Sydney Schneider? Well, she actually went, and she's from Elkhorn, Nebraska. And so Southeast Louisiana has a player from the state of Nebraska, and she records the only hit of the day. It came against Jordy Ball back in the first inning on a single out to left field. It scored. It was an RBI, and it scored the only run of the game for Southeastern Louisiana. But more importantly, from Nebraska's standpoint, it's their second consecutive run rule victory at the NCAA regionals, and they will advance to the regional final. They need to win one more game. Somebody, whether that's LSU, whether that's Southeastern Louisiana, or whether that's UConn, somebody's going to have to beat the Huskers twice to avoid Nebraska from going to a super regional. So there you have it. Final in 5 innings, Nebraska wins it 14-1. Back here at Tal, though, Gretna East leading by 2. They're up to bat now. This one swung on and missed on the first pitch of the 5th inning. Hitters 3, 4, and 5 due up for Gretna East here. Carson Herman is the one up first. The 0-1 pitch from Brennan Miller is on the way. Swung on, lined out into center field, down for a base hit. And a nice job by Gretna East jumping on Brennan Miller here early in the 5th inning once again with a leadoff single. Good job. Good piece of hitting there by Carson Herman, as he now will be subbed out for a courtesy runner. And there will be a runner on first base with nobody out for the cleanup hitter, the center fielder, Tanner Erdkamp. Erdkamp on the season, hitting .317. He steps into that right-handed batter's box. Brennan Miller working from the stretch, the pick over, back in time for Gretna East. Number 14, it appears, Carter Woodson once again. Woodson with a fairly routine lead over at first base. The cleanup hitter swings. This one chopper. It's fair tear. No, they're going to call it foul. It looked like it bounced on the foul line, which would have said fair. It looked like it bounced directly over that third base bag. However, it was the third base umpire that made the call. And so that was one of those that, with the third baseman for Waverly playing inside the cut of the grass, it was going to bounce over his head. He didn't have a choice, or a chance rather, of fielding that ball. And so a little bit of a break there for Waverly, as it'll just go as a foul ball. Woodson was going to be able to get to third base on that ground ball that would have went to left field, but instead it's 0-1 on the count. Runner at first base. No balls, 1 strike. Miller pauses. He pauses, and now he fires home, squaring the bunt, missing the bunt, trying to back pick at first. Back in time was Carter Woodson, though. And so now the count is no balls, 2 strikes to Tanner Erdkamp. Carter Woodson still occupies first base. 2-0 your score. Gretna East out in front by a pair of runs here in the top of the 5th inning. Miller comes set out of the stretch. Runner goes. This one, breaking ball, strike 3. They throw down to second, not in time. And Tanner Erdkamp goes down looking. Backwards K for him for out number 1. But on the pitch, Carter Woodson advances to second base. And what I would say is sometimes you'll see it to where not necessarily with 2 strikes, it's a little more uncommon. But especially early in the count, if the hitter notices that the guy on base gets a real good jump, they will intentionally not swing at anything, just so in case of a foul ball, a line drive, something like that, it doesn't double them up. But Erdkamp watched a breaking ball come right across the heart of the plate for strike 3, but on the play, Carter Woodson gets second base. 0-1 count now to the 5-hitter, Easton Leahy. The 0-1 pitch, swung on and missed. It's going to be 0-2. So no balls, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the top of the 5th inning. Gretna East leads it 2-0. They have 2 runs on 4 hits. They are perfect in the field. No errors committed by the Griffins. Waverly, no runs on just 2 hits, and they have committed 2 errors. So Brennan Miller, with the baseball in his right hand, steps on the rubber with his glove tucked under his left arm. Runner on second, it's Carter Woodson. He's the courtesy runner for the Gretna East catcher. He has a routine lead out at second base. Righty-righty matchup here on no balls, 2 strikes. The pitch from Miller, and they're going to appeal down to first base. It is not in time. And so that will go as a ball, 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the top of the 5th. Righty-righty matchup. Miller, the future Iowa Western Reaver on the mound. Easton Leahy, the 1-2 pitch. Swung on, skied high into left center field. Tomes ranges over, and he is able to haul it in for a catch and out number 2. And so a routine fly ball fielded cleanly there for out number 2. Runner stays put at second base. And that will bring up Chase Neneman, the shortstop, number 13. Chase Neneman. Neneman on the day, 2 for 2 with 2 singles. There's a run out there at second base if he wants to pick up another RBI on the year. 2-0 your score. The pitch. It's down Broadway, strike 1. Neneman, he had a single in the second and a single in the third. As Miller comes set at the belt, he fires the 0-1 pitch, low and away, ball 1. On the season, Chase Neneman is a .325 hitter, just a sophomore. Has 8 runs driven in. Hasn't had a ton of at-bats this year, just 40 of them coming into this one. But here he has a 1-1 count against Brennan Miller. Here's the pitch. Skied right side. It's foul ball. It'll be out of play. Going back towards the Omaha softball field over my right shoulder. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's 2-0 Gretna East out in front of the Waverly Vikings. Brennan Miller, the Waverly pitcher, on the mound, trying to get out of another jam and keep it just a 2-run ball game. And we have a time called at the plate by the hitter, Chase Neneman. One ball, 2 strikes. Brennan Miller is at 86 pitches. Wouldn't be surprised to see his day be done at the conclusion of this inning, just from a availability standpoint later in the tournament. But Brennan Miller comes set, fires the 1-2. This one swung on, lined out to center field. Tomes racing over, and he dives and hauls it in. Hunter Tomes able to flash the leather, saves it from being a RBI single, and Tomes is able to dive out in center field on his chest, grab that baseball. It was a good piece of hitting by Chase Neneman. Carter Woodson was racing around third trying to score, but the diving catch out in center field by number 4 is able to nullify it. It's 2-0 as we enter the bottom of the 5th inning. Gretna East leads it by a pair of runs, due up in the home half of the 5th for the Waverly Vikings. Hitters 7, 8, and 9 due up. It's Crew Verkamp, Zach McElhose, and Trevor Roessler when we come back on 93.7 The Ticket.
Support Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach on Give to Lincoln Day. Your gift will be received by a portion of Lincoln Community Foundation's matching fund. Homelessness is a complex problem facing our community. By working together, we can find solutions. Your donation for Give to Lincoln Day moves us closer to ensuring that everyone in Lincoln has a safe place to sleep at night. Because of your generosity, hope lives here. Give anytime through May 29th at givetolincoln.com.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in, Tal Anderson Field, the site for the Class B state tournament. We will transition to Warner Park on Monday, but here Gretna East leads it 2-0. Brennan Miller has 87 pitches for the Waverly Vikings through 5 innings of work, 2 runs allowed though, 4 hits as well given up. But Gretna East, their guy on the mound, Nolan Green, has been lights out. No runs on 2 hits, no errors for the Gretna East defense, and he's in there for strike 1 against Crew Verkamp. Here's the 0-1 offering from Green. Swung on, fouled back to the net, and it's 0-2 quickly in the blink of an eye. I mentioned 87 pitches for Brennan Miller. How about this? Nolan Green, through 4 innings of work, is sitting at 58. No balls, 2 strikes, the offering. It's low and away, ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. This will be the 60th pitch of the day for Nolan Green. Green going to Cloud County Community College, a JUCO based out of Concordia, Kansas. A couple of current Huskers reside, or I should say at one time reside at Cloud County down in Concordia. 2-0 your score, the 1-2 pitch from Green. Swung on and missed, and Nolan Green is able to get another strikeout. This time the victim, Crew Verkamp, as that was a strikeout for out number 1. That brings up the left fielder, number 1, Zach McElhose. McElhose, he is 0 for 0 today. His first at-bat resulted in a 7-pitch walk as he takes ball 1 low and out of the zone, 1-0. One ball, no strikes. Here's the pitch down the middle, 1-1. Good job evening up the count if you are Nolan Green. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the pitch from Green. Swung on, grounded up the middle. That one's going to get through after a diving attempt by the second baseman for Gretna East as Tyler Cox unable to extend his body far enough and stop that ball from bouncing into center field. And so that is a 1-out base knock out of the 8-hitter in the Waverly lineup, Zach McElhose. And he will get on first base for the 9-hole, Trevor Roessler, the second baseman, number 16 for the Waverly Vikings, who walked to begin the 3rd inning. So here with 1 out in the bottom half of the 5th inning, the pitch from Green. It's going to be up and in, ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes here as we approach 2:30 p.m. out at Tal Anderson Field. Conservative lead over there at first base by McElhose. Green comes set. He's in the stretch. Obviously, the runner goes. This one fouled backwards, and that's one of those situations to where unless a hit and run was on, and it very well could have been, that's one of those where at first base, McElhouse got a real good jump against Nolan Green, and that might be one of those early in the count, despite having a 1-0 count on you. If you're Trevor Rosler, you might just hang on and keep the bat on your shoulder, even if it looks real good. Try to swipe that extra 90 feet. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nolan Green fires home. Outside corner, strike 2, as Rosler watched that one go by. One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the home half of the 5th. Runner on first is McElhouse. He's staying put as this one up and away, ball 2. Count is even. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Waverly still looking to crack the scoring column. 0 runs on 3 hits. Here's the pitch on 2-2. Outside corner, strike 3, and Rosler goes down watching for out number 2 in the home half of the 5th inning, and that will turn the lineup over as Nolan Green gets his second K of the 5th inning. Hunter Tomes, who had that nice diving catch to end the visiting half of the 5th inning, he steps up into that left-handed batter's box with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. They turn pick over to first base. Back in plenty of time was McElhouse. 2-0 is your score. The only inning where Gretna East scored was in the top of the 3rd. Here we are in the bottom of the 5th. The pitch, Tomes turns and fouls this one right side. Nice stop with the one-handed grab on the hop by the first base coach over there for the Waverly Vikings. However, it's a foul ball. No balls, 1 strike. Nolan Green doing a good job mixing up timing on the mound. McElhouse not really able to get a good read on him so far. We saw him try to swipe second base, but it was nullified because of a foul ball. This one lined up the middle. It's through for a base hit. McElhouse rounding second. He's going to slide into third, and on the throw, Tomes tries to take second, and he's able to do so. And with 2 outs, Hunter Tomes, it's going to go down as a single. He'll advance to second on the throw, and with that, we have 2 Waverly Vikings in scoring position for the number 2 hitter in the lineup, Carson Malcolm, the shortstop, will step up to the plate. 2 runners on, 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning with Waverly trailing by 2. Great job with aggressive base running by Zach McElhouse. Even better job by Hunter Tomes on the back end, advancing to second on the throw. And so runners are on second and third with 2 outs. Here's the pitch. The first one of the at-bat is low, out of the zone. Ball 1 to Carson Malcolm. Malcolm, the shortstop, wears number 19 for the Vikes. He flew out to the second baseman in shallow right field this first at-bat. This one he takes across the plate for a strike, 1-1. In his second at-bat, he grounded out to the shortstop. This feels like a big point in the game for both sides. Waverly trying to crack the scoring column. Here's the pitch. Green in the dirt. Great stop by the catcher. And it's 2 balls, 1 strike. Standing in the on-deck circle, it's Bruin Sampson, who has a base knock today. Nolan Green comes set in the windup. He fires home. This one grounded left side. That's through for a base hit. 1 run will score. Running into third is Tomes. He's going to be safe. And they deliver Carson Malcolm with a 2-out RBI single. And Waverly trails by just 1 with the game-tying run on third base 90 feet away and the leading run on first base. Runners will be on the corners with 2 outs. Hunter Tomes advanced to third. Scoring on the play was McElhouse, and Carson Malcolm comes up big on an RBI single with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. And we have a 2-1 ball game as head coach Daryl Everhart wants to talk things over with his guy on the mound, Nolan Green. We'll step aside, come back, 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Be right back in 30 seconds on 93.7 The Ticket.
When daily energy fades and your drive just isn't what it used to be, Game Day Men's Health helps you step back into top form. Game Day Men's Health is one of the country's fastest growing clinics, and they focus on men's wellness, providing customized solutions with professionalism and privacy in mind. Testosterone optimization, weight management, vitamin injections, and shockwave therapy are just a few of the many things they offer. Restore your energy and rediscover confidence with the help of Game Day Men's Health, because every man deserves to feel his best every day. Visit them online at GameDayMen'sHealth.com today or in person at one of their 2 locations in Omaha.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nick Sander back with you from Tal Anderson Field. 2-1 is your score. Waverly will send Bruin Sampson up to the plate. Runners on the corners. Malcolm occupies first base as Sampson watches strike one across the inner part of the plate, 0-1. Hunter Tomes, the career stolen base record holder for Waverly High School, is standing at third base. But with 2 outs, not a whole lot you want to do on the base pass, especially with the meat of your order up at the plate. No balls, 1 strike, the pitch swung on and missed. A hardy cut by Bruin Sampson as he fans at the fastball on the outside part of the plate. No balls, 2 strikes. Nolan Green, can he shut down the Vikings? For a 5th inning in a row, he's gone 4 2/3. He's thrown 76 pitches, and he's 1 strike away. He comes set at the belt, working from the stretch with runners on the corners. The pitch, low and away, just missed. Good discipline there by Bruin Sampson to keep the bat on his shoulder as that fastball almost painted the outside corner, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Nolan Green, the Cloud County Community College commit, comes set, working from the stretch to Bruin Sampson, swung on, fouled back to the net, and we'll do it again at 1-2. Runners on the corners. First base is taken up by Carson Malcolm, who just came in with a clutch RBI single. At third base, it's Hunter Tomes, who had a 2-out base knock and then advanced to second on the throw. 1 ball, 2 strikes here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. Nolan Green pumps his fist, pounds his chest, and walks back to the dugout, cool, calm, and collected after he is able to limit the damage here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. It's 2-1 at Gretna East as Waverly strands runners on first and third. We go to the 6th inning here at Tal Anderson Field in Omaha. It's Colton Cool, Kason Brown, and Jacob Brown all due up here in the top half of the 6th inning. Gretna East clinging on to a 1-run advantage, and Brennan Miller, the Iowa Western product, is on his way back out to the mound for his 6th inning of work. We'll step aside, come back in 30 seconds here in the Class B state tournament on 93.7 The Ticket.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time, which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, 1 love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into Tal Anderson Field. It's 2-1 on the scoreboard. Gretna East leads it by just 1 run. Gretna East put up 2 in the top half of the 3rd. Waverly just finally cracked the column in the bottom half of the 5th. How about that? In the district championship, Gretna East held Waverly scoreless. They beat them 5-0. So if my math doesn't deceive me, that's the first run that Waverly has scored in 12 innings against the Gretna East Griffins. So good job defensively by the Griffins as they hold it to a 2-1 ball game. Here's the pitch from Miller, and it's right down the middle for a strike, 0-1, as Miller back out there for his 6th inning of work. And while Miller struggled with a little bit of command today, he's missed a lot up and in out of the zone. He's able to fire this one on 0-1, and it's fouled back to the screen. No balls, 2 strikes. Coming up to the 7-hole hitter in Colton Cool. Cool on the day, 0 for 2 against Brennan Miller. 2 strikeouts, both of them swinging. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And how about a third as Colton Kuhl goes down on strikes? He swings, he misses at the breaker. That was a nice pitch by Brennan Miller, and we have one out on Miller's 90th pitch of the day here in the top of the 6th inning. So that is out number 1 here in the top of the 6th. It's 2-1 Gretna East. Stepping in, it's Kaysen Brown. He turns and fires, and he's taking ball 1 up and in, 1-0. Kaysen Brown getting the start in left field today. Here's the 1-0 offering. That one clipped the outer edge, 1-1 off the delivery from Brennan Miller. Don't forget, Miller came into the game here with a 6-1 record on the year as he misses with a ball 2-1. 6-1 record. He had only allowed 20 hits all season long. He now has that total up to 24. He only allowed 5 runs all year, as he is able to even up the count at 2-2. He came in with a 0.84 earned run average and had close to 60 strikeouts on the campaign. And he's been able to limit damage here. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Chopper left side, fielded on the one hop by the third baseman. Plenty of time as he fires it over to first base, and that is out number 2. And so 5-3 on the putout, as that brings up the 9-hole hitter, the designated hitter who's DHing for the Gretna East first baseman today. It's going to be Jacob Brown. Jacob, 0 for 2 today. He struck out looking back in the 2nd inning. He flew out to the left fielder, though, in the 4th. Here's the pitch from Miller. Swung on and missed. Miller, this is the most comfortable we've seen Brennan Miller through 5 2/3 innings of work. He gets on top of Jacob Brown, though, now 0-1. No balls, 1 strike. The pitch from Miller, swung on, fouled back, and Miller very ahead of Jacob Brown, now 0-2. If you're head coach Jerry Dittenberg, this is the type of response you're probably wanting to see from your guy on the mound in Brennan Miller. The 0-2 pitch, swung on and fouled back. That was a very awkward-looking swing. It looked to be like a breaking ball that started in. The hitter, Jacob Brown, thought it was going to work back to the plate, but it never really did, and so it kind of closed him off a little bit. No balls, 2 strikes. We'll do it again, 2 outs. This one, low in the dirt. They're going to say he went around, and so that is a strikeout once again for Brennan Miller. He strikes out 2 of the 3 guys he faces in the 6th inning, and we head to the bottom of the 6th. And as my good friend Jay Foreman would say, the winds of change. You talk about the momentum starting to shift. Waverly in the bottom half of the 6th inning will send hitters 4, 5, and 6 up to the plate. It's Brennan Miller, Drew Cook, and Connor Gunderson all due up in the bottom half of the 6th inning as the Waverly Vikings trail by 1. Gretna East holding on to a 2-1 lead here in the Class B state tournament here on 93.7 The Ticket.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nolan Green's day is done for the Gretna East Griffins. They're going to turn to Andrew Barada. Barada, a sophomore on the year. He throws from the left side. Nolan Green's day is done, though, I said. Nolan Green on the day allowed 1 run, gave up 5 hits in 5 innings of work. And so a real nice day for Nolan Green, who was able to be effective and keep the pitch count down. He had fewer than 85 pitches, which certainly plays a factor into rest and recovery. And also, more importantly, if Gretna East goes a decent way in this state tournament, you're talking about being able to come back later next week and throw some meaningful innings. And so Andrew Baratta, Baratta, is going to be the man that Daryl Everhart, the head coach of Gretna East, turns to in the bottom of the 6th inning. He will be tasked with 4, 5, and 6 in the Waverly lineup. Brennan Miller, the pitcher, he is due up first. He struck out back in the 1st. He got a single back in the 4th. Trying to help himself out. He will, if goes out for the next inning, Brennan Miller will surpass the century mark on his pitch count. The first pitch of the bottom of the 6th inning, Baratta misses, low and inside, ball 1. The 1-0 pitch, just a tad outside, 2-0. And so this is where, if you are Andrew Baratta, you cannot come in and not have command, especially in a 1-run game. 2 balls, no strikes. The pitch, it was a breaking ball, trying to work back to the outside part of the plate, unable to do so, and it's now 3-0, or 3-0 count. 3 balls, no strikes. Here's the pitch, and it's right down the middle, strike. So Andrew Baratta, the left-handed pitcher, fires the 3-1, and that's inside, ball 4. Baratta wanted that corner, was not given it by the home plate umpire, and Brendan Miller draws a leadoff walk. We're going to see a courtesy runner come in. It'll be Trev Grieve. So Trev Grieve is going to be the courtesy runner at first base. Baratta's got to figure out a way to command the zone here. Stepping into the box, it'll be the catcher, number 11, Drew Cook. Cook 0 for 2 on the day, lined out to the shortstop and grounded out to the third baseman. Almost an inaccurate throw on a pickoff attempt by Baratta, but able to snag it was the first baseman for Gretna East, Colton Nicholson. First pitch of the at-bat, they squared a bunt, and it's a ball low and inside. It'll be 1-0. And after that 1-0 decision, we're going to have a conversation on the mound. Carson Herman, the catcher, is going to go out and talk to his guy Baratta. So once again, Nolan Green had a really nice day on the mound. 5 innings of work for Gretna East, allowed just 1 run, allowed 5 hits, and kept his pitch count manageable. 1 ball, no strikes. Very conservative lead over there at first base by Grieve. The pitch, it's bunted. It's a real nice bunt up the first base foul line. It's fielded cleanly, thrown over to first in time. A nice job by the pitcher in Baratta, able to range over there. It's tough for a left-handed pitcher because when he throws off the mound, a lot of lefties start to fade to their right, which is the third base side of the pitcher's mound. That bunt went to the first base side. The first baseman had to retreat and cover the bag. Baratta had to work back towards the first base side in plenty of time, stayed composed, and with 1 out, there's a runner on second. Here's the pitch to Connor Gunderson. He swings and misses at the first offering. It's 0-1. So it does go down as a sack for Drew Cook. A nice job by him doing his job. The runner advances to second. The 0-1 pitch, low and in the dirt, ball 1. Connor Gunderson getting the start at third base today. Number 3 for Waverly. Gunderson, the senior, hits .242 on the campaign. 1 ball, 1 strike as Baratta, the left-handed pitcher, comes set at the belt, checks the runner. He extends his lead. He fires home. This one skied high but foul, and it's going to be behind us. 1 ball, 2 strikes here in the bottom of the 6th inning. It's 2-1 Gretna East out in front of the Waverly Vikings. 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. There is a runner in scoring position at second base in the form of courtesy runner Trev Grieve. Comes set, looking back to the runner at second. This one fouled off as, once again, Gunderson able to protect the strike zone. He fouls it off right side. 1-2 will do it again. Large contingent of Waverly spectators to my left, Gretna East to my right. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch from Baratta. Swung on and fouled, barely made contact with that one as it was hit off the end of the bat. It was a breaking ball that was trying to work itself back from the outside part of the plate back towards the middle part. And Gunderson, just a tad early on that one, but was able to get a piece of it. 2-1 is your score here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Coming set. Barada fires. This one swung on, hit well down the third base line. It's fair, and it's into left field. Rounding third, he's going to try to score. The throw will come home. It's offline. It's bobbled, and Waverly ties it up on a 2-out, or rather 1-out RBI single off the bat of Connor Gunderson. Scoring on the play is Grieve. He got a bad jump at second base. He had to wait to see if that had passed the glove of the third baseman, Easton Leahy, is who he dove and tried to grab it. But now we are all tied up at 2-2. And we have a conversation on the mound from Gretna East. That throw home from the left fielder for the Griffins, Kaysen Brown, would have been in time if it was online. And it's because of the poor jump that Grieve got at second base. But Jerry Dittenber still decided, despite having less than 2 outs, still chose to wave him home, and it turned out to be the right call, as now there's going to be a runner on first base with 1 out. We are tied at 2 apiece, and now that'll bring up Crew Verkamp. A massive 1 out RBI single for Connor Gunderson. Barada still out there. There's a couple of bodies warming up in that right field bullpen for Gretna East. A couple guys playing some light catch for the Waverly Vikings. Barada, in relief of Nolan Green, has given up a walk, and that walk ended up coming around to score. The first pitch of the at-bat to Crew Verkamp, the 7-hole hitter, is a ball, 1-0. And that's that evolution of baseball we always talk about, folks. Great job by Waverly capitalizing on the leadoff walk. They sacrificed him over to second base, and a pick over to first is back in time. But then the base hit, that's all you need. Less than 2 outs. You just need some guy to come up clutch with a base knock. And that's exactly what Connor Gunderson was able to do as he ties it up at 2 apiece. 1 ball, no strikes. Barada comes set. He fires. Swung on and missed. We're even. 1 ball, 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. One ball, 1 strike, 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The pitch swung on and missed again as Verkamp waved through that fastball up. It was going to be a ball. It was out of the zone. Helped out Barada. It's now 1-2. Wouldn't be surprised to see Barada try to get something on the back foot of Verkamp here. Here's the pitch. Fastball clipped the outside part of the plate. Strike 3. Verkamp goes down watching for a big out, and it's out number 2 here in the bottom of the 6th. A massive strikeout for Barada on the mound. And now that brings up Zach McElhose. A quick pick over to first base, not in time. And once again, just a massive strikeout for Barada. Needed that one. So a runner is still on first base as McElhose hits this one well out to right field. It's fairly routine, though, on the line drive. It was hit hard, just right at the right fielder, and it's caught by Colton Kuhl. So that is out number 3, but Waverly in the last 2 innings, they score 1 in the 5th, they score 1 in the 6th, and now we go to the 7th inning with your score all knotted up at 2 apiece. Gretna East in the top half of the 7th inning, they will get to send hitters 1, 2, and 3 to the plate. It's Green, Cox, and Herman when we come back to start the final inning of play. The top of the 7th, we're tied up here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your possibilities are endless at Doane University. Discovering your life's passion is easier with options, and that's what Doane offers students. Rooted in liberal arts, you can choose from undergraduate and graduate programs, all delivering real-world experience. At Doane, we take a personal approach to education, giving you the guidance you need to own your future. It's not just our innovative learning, It's the feeling of being surrounded by possibilities that makes you different. Apply today at doan.edu/apply.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in, Tal Anderson Field. Hope you've stuck around for this one as we approach 3 p.m. here in Omaha, as it is 2-2. Gretna East put up 2 runs in the top of the 3rd inning. Waverly puts up 1 run in the 5th and 1 in the 6th on a clutch RBI single off the bat of Connor Gunderson. And so now Gretna East will try to bounce back and take the lead in the top of the 7th inning. Remember, in high school, it's just 7 innings of play. And obviously, we can play extras, but in regulation, so to speak. Nolan Green, who was the start of the game as the pitcher, now is in the field. He goes up to bat. The first one is going to bounce off the turf, and it's going to hit Nolan Green. And so that one was spiked about 55 feet. And obviously 60 feet, 6 inches is the distance from the mound to the plate. Brennan Miller, who's out there for his 7th inning of work on his 100th pitch of the day, spikes it about 10 feet out in front of home plate. It bounced off the turf, and it nicked Nolan Green on the right leg. And so because of that, that's going to be a hit by pitch and a leadoff base runner. Here's the pitch. It's bunted down the right side, and nobody's going to be there. Miscommunication, and Gretna East is going to have runners on first and second. That is exactly what I'm talking about when we talk speed and direction. Brennan Miller was unable to get over to the first base foul line for quick enough and field that bunt. The first baseman for Waverly, in this case, it was Bruin Sampson, anchored himself to the bag. He was trying to wait for the bunt to get to him, and he had his left foot planted on the first base bag. He was trying to lunge for that baseball. There was miscommunication, and everybody is safe. And so we have runners on first and second with nobody out here in the top of the 7th. Here's the pitch to the 3-hole hitter. In this case, it's Carson Herman, and he takes strike 1 across the outer part of the plate for a strike 0-1. And so that is going to go as a hit, or rather error, against the Waverly defense. And I think that's the absolute right call there. But either way, Carson Herman, he calls time, and he'll have to have a conversation. Now the catcher in Cook is going to have a talk with Brennan Miller. Runners are on first and second with nobody out here in the top of the 7th inning. We're tied up at 2 apiece between Gretna East, who is the 5 seed, and Waverly, the 4 seed. Gretna East knocked off Waverly in the district final 5-0. Waverly, in 2 of their last 3 games, their 2 losses have come to this very same Gretna East program. They're trying on the biggest stage to not let that happen for the 3rd time in the last 4 games. Here's the pitch on 0-1. Swung on. Herman able to drill it down the left field line, but it is foul, and we'll do it at 0-2. Carson Herman got jammed up a little bit there, tried to take a 0-1 fastball down the left field line, unable to keep it fair. So no balls, 2 strikes here to the Gretna East catcher, Carson Herman. Brennan Miller, the future Iowa Western Reaver, comes set from the stretch. Runners are on first and second in a tied ball game. Nobody out here in the top of the 7th. The pitch fouled off left side. It was a breaking ball that Herman wasn't going to be able to do a whole lot with, but he did a really nice job as it started to break from inside part of the plate back towards the middle. He was able to just fight it off and knock it down the third base line. Here's the pitch on 0-2 from Miller. It's grounded left side. Third baseman Gunderson fields it. He steps on the bag for 1, tries to throw it across the diamond for 2. It is not in time, but most importantly, Connor Gunderson made a nice job staying composed, fielded the ground ball on the hop, and was able to trot over to third base and touch the bag for the force out and out number 1. But that will keep runners on first and second there with 1 out here in the top of the 7th inning. So on the fielder's choice, Cox moves up to second base. On the fielder's choice, Herman reaches. Here's the pitch. Now this one grounded up the middle. Could be two. The shortstop fields it for one. Fires to first in time. And Waverly is able to get out of the jam as they will go into the bottom of the 7th inning. And despite Gretna East getting their first 2 batters on base, having runners on first and second with nobody out, 2 ground balls were induced by Brennan Miller, and they were able to get out of it as we enter the bottom of the 7th inning. Due up in the bottom half of the 7th, it'll be 9-1-2. Roessler, Tomes, and Malcolm due up in the home half of the 7th here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's an exciting way to see the top of the 7th inning come to a close. Gretna East looked to be on their way to retaking the lead in the top half of the frame, but Brennan Miller said, I don't want to just force you to hit one ground ball to the third baseman. I want to make you hit into an inning-ending double play. 6 unassisted, a 6-3 double play as the shortstop able to step on the bag for one, fire over to first in time for the 3rd out of the inning, and now it's Trevor Roessler due up for Waverly as he takes strike 1 on the outer part of the plate, still facing Andrew Barada on the mound for Gretna East as we are in the bottom of the 7th inning. Waverly attempting to walk it off against Gretna East as the 0-1 pitch low out of the zone, ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th. Gretna East out in the field, Waverly at the plate. The leadoff hitter, Hunter Tomes, is in the on-deck circle, due up after Trevor Roessler. Roessler takes ball 2 just outside, 2-1. Here's the pitch from Barada. Breaking ball, does not get back to the plate, and that's 3-1. And once again, we saw it in the last inning. Brennan Miller was the one who took the leadoff walk, ended up coming all the way around to score. Here's 3-1. The pitch from Barada, swung on, a high fly ball out to right field, and it's going to be just a touch foul. The right fielder for Gretna East was unable to get over there. Colton Cool just about 2 or 3 steps away from being able to even dive and catch that ball. And so because of that, we're going to have a payoff pitch. 3 balls and 2 strikes coming up here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Trevor Roessler, the second baseman today, he is 0 for 1. He walked back in the 3rd, and he struck out looking a few innings ago. This one in the dirt. Ball 4, and Waverly has their leadoff guy on base. So Trevor Roessler is on first base with a leadoff walk. So he will occupy the first base bag, and now Hunter Tomes steps into that left-handed batter's box to face the lefty arm of Barada. The pitch, Tomes squares to bunt, pulls back, takes ball 1, 1-0. One ball, no strikes, 2-2 is your score. Here's the pitch from Barada. He throws ball 2, low and away, 2-0. Barada, we saw it when he initially came in, that he struggled with command. He took over for Nolan Green in the 6th inning, and he walked the leadoff hitter on 5 pitches. Here, he walks the leadoff hitter, Trevor Roessler, and now Hunter Tomes, he's behind in the count, 2-0. it appears that they want Hunter Tomes to bunt this, as this one going to be outside 3-0. Barada struggling to find the zone. 3 balls, no strikes. Just put something over the plate, young man. Third baseman, this would be a great time for all my baseball junkies out there. A fake bunt slash. That third baseman is playing maybe 35 feet from home plate. He is over halfway the distance between third base and home plate. Put something down that left field line. 3 balls, 1 strike here as Barada has it. He fires home. This one bunted right back to the pitcher, and Barada bobbles the ball, throws it to first. It's not in time. Barada tried to rush. He tried the glove side turn, which is fundamentally the correct play, but it was not in time as Hunter Tomes, one of the fastest guys on the team and in the state, is able to outrun it for a single. And so there is Gretna East's first error of the day. Barada's day appears to be done, and that is where we will take a quick break. Runners on first and second for the Waverly Vikings. We're all tied up at 2 apiece here in the bottom of the 7th inning here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
New pitcher for Gretna East as he will inherit runners on first and second here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And the new pitcher is number 23, a senior, Austin Copeland. Copeland on the year, a 3-2 record with a 1.97 earned run average. They will have Waverly, that is, hitters 2, 3, and 4 coming up next as Trevor Raisler is on second base. Occupying first base is Hunter Tomes. Really, Raisler is the only runner that truly matters. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Waverly try to drop a bunt down here with Carson Malcolm, who steps into that right-handed batter's box if he can put a bunt down third base line. He squares, and he pulls back. The back pick at second base, almost over the head, and it's not in time, as that will be ball 1 to Carson Malcolm. Out at second base, Trevor Raisler's got to be real careful how far he gets that secondary lead. As this one, it's going to be a hit by pitch. They're going to say Carson Malcolm, he went to square and bunt, but he pulled back. It hits him on the arm, and now Waverly has them loaded with nobody out in the bottom of the 7th inning. Coming up to the plate, it's the 3-hole hitter, the first baseman, Bruin Sampson. Sampson on the day, 1 for 3. He singled back in the first. He flew out to the right fielder in the 4th. He struck out swinging in the 5th. So now the bases are loaded here in the bottom of the 7th. Infield is in as the pitch to Sampson lined over the second baseman's head. That's going to do it. The Waverly Vikings score a run in 3 consecutive innings, and they walk off the Gretna East Griffins. The Vikings avenge the district final loss, and they will advance to the winner's bracket to play Omaha Skutt Catholic on Monday after a 3-2 come-from-behind victory over the Gretna East Griffins. It wasn't much. It was hit softly over the second baseman's head. It didn't get very far into right field, but because the infield was in trying to cut down a run at the plate, it got towards the back of the infield here at Tal Anderson Field. It bounced into the outfield, and Waverly comes from behind to win it 3-2. They score a run in the fifth. They score one more in the sixth to tie it up, and then they walk it off on a single that scored Trevor Raisler from third off of the bat of Bruin Sampson. We'll step aside, come back in just a minute to wrap things up here in Class B. Waverly wins it 3-2 over the Gretna East Griffins on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your possibilities are endless at Doane University. Discovering your life's passion is easier with options, and that's what Doane offers students. Rooted in liberal arts, you can choose from undergraduate and graduate programs, all delivering real-world experience. At Doane, we take a personal approach to education, giving you the guidance you need to own your future. It's not just our innovative learning, it's the feeling of being surrounded by possibilities that makes you different. Apply today at doane.edu/apply.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Back to the 2025 State Baseball Tournament on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Well, so after our first game of the day ended in run rule, mercy rule, 12-1 fashion, the Waverly Vikings and Gretna East Griffins did not disappoint. Waverly comes from behind after surrendering 2 runs in the top of the third inning. Jerry Dittenberg's squad scores 1 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth, and most importantly, 1 in the bottom of the seventh inning. And he and his Waverly Vikings will advance to play Scott Catholic on Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. That game will take place at Papillion La Vista South High School on Monday afternoon in the winner's bracket game. However, for Gretna East, heartbreak. And if you are head coach Daryl Everhart, you got to figure out a way to where your guys don't let this loss compound into a poor performance, poor mentality on Monday morning, because you got to turn around in less than 48 hours on 10 a.m. on Monday and play Hastings in an elimination game here or there at Papillion La Vista South High School as well. And so a lot of times this is something that coaches do have to worry about, is in heartbreaking losses like this, your team might come out and not be sharp mentally, might not be able to do the job physically. And so if you're head coach Daryl Everhart, figure out a way to reunite your guys ahead of Monday morning elimination game. All right, let's talk about it. Waverly, once again, looked dead in the water in the first 4 innings. Frankly, even in the first 5 innings, despite scoring a run in the fifth, you look at the way they scored runs. Gretna East allowed free passes in some crucial situations. Look at the last inning of play in the bottom of the 7th inning. How did it start, you may ask? Well, you had a leadoff walk to Trevor Raisler. He then advanced to second on what they attempted to be a sacrifice bunt off the bat of Hunter Tomes, but Hunter able to race it out, and they were unable, they being Gretna East, unable to even get it over to first base in time. It was an error on the pitcher, Barada. So then just off of a walk and off of an error, you had 2 runners on with nobody out. And then guess what? What did the third batter do? He got hit by a pitch. So all 3 runners in the bottom of the 7th inning were put on base because of Gretna East miscues and Gretna East mistakes. And so there you have it. Then Bruin Sampson, the Waverly 3-hole hitter, is able to come up clutch with a soft line drive over the second baseman's head for a walk-off RBI single to give Waverly a 3-2 lead. For Gretna East, heartbreak. A real nice performance from their pitcher, their starter, Nolan Green, who did not get charged with the loss, but also didn't get the win that he was in line for when he exited the game in the sixth inning. Nolan Green with a nice performance. He was able to keep that pitch count manageable. And now as Gretna East will attempt to work their way back through the elimination bracket, that's going to be important. The pitch count plays a factor into this as we get deeper and deeper into the state baseball tournament. Your final score one more time from Tal Anderson Field in Omaha. The Waverly Vikings, the 4-seed Waverly Vikings, score a run in the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings to come from behind and knock off Gretna East 3-2. Your final score line, Waverly 3 runs on 7 hits. They also committed 2 errors in the field, while Gretna East 2 runs on 5 hits. They committed 1 error on the turf. That'll do it for us for the time being. We'll send it back to the station. Thanks to my man Jackson Kleinschmidt in our 93.7 The Ticket studios for pushing all the buttons. Austin Orman will join me for our 3rd game of the day here shortly after 4 p.m. or so. It'll be number 2 seed Bennington taking on 15-7 overall, 7-seeded Seward. That one, first pitch, might be delayed just a tad, but around 4 p.m. will be the first pitch for that one before the nightcap between Ralston and Gross Catholic. We'll have all that action coming your way from Tal Anderson Field in about 1 hour of time. Thanks for spending your Saturday afternoon. Hope you stick with us as we have Bennington and Seward on deck in a few short minutes right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Support Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach on Give to